Okay. So again, as I was saying, we're going to get ready to go into the scriptures concerning this holy day, Purim, um, where we'll be reading of the story of Esther. And, I don't want to abbreviate the story. I guess what we'll do is just read it instead of me, that way we can, for those who aren't familiar, I don't want to, spoil the story. It's a pretty good story, and it isn't only a story. It's history. It's facts. This isn't. Sometimes in religion or different holidays, as we know in the world, and like I said, in the Bible itself and religion in general, to some people, these things can be mysticalized, if you will, made to be like some, this is some type of fairy tale book, and, stories that, aren't necessarily real or relevant, and all these things. Understand this is real, true, factual history. So this story that we're reading are accounts of history that truly taken place. There've been movies like I said, made about some of these things. One of the things I'll probably look at once we get toward the end of things, I have Haley's Bible Handbook from Zondervan, which one of the things I like to use this resource for is a lot of the archaeological proofs and findings in it, where it links scriptures to archaeological finds, showing the relevance and the truth that it's, that it happened, like it's real, it's history.
What's that book?
Oh, it's Haley's Bible Handbook. It's from Zondervan. I think this is like from the 70s. They've done different editions of it, but I'll have it up here. I'll let you check it out. For those at home. That's the book. Just one of many different types of references that are out there. You know what I mean? Because when you look at this and think, in the Bible, I won't just be general. I'll be specific. When we're looking at the Bible, there are numerous, if not uncountable, different references of resources to validate it. Such is the case with anything that's true. You know what I mean? Like when something is just true, like this, like the accounts go on and on for finding, different ways of verifying and seeing something else that verifies it again. And that's what this Bible is. It's the truth without cracks or chinks. I mean, it's the truth. You won't disprove it. So, there are a lot of references. So here's one. But, this story, really spans the entire book of Esther. So if you want to go ahead and turn your Bibles in Esther, that's where we'll be reading from. It spans the entire book. So it is a good read, and I suggest when you have time to go ahead, especially after we kind of do an abbreviated version, to read it on your own. You know what I mean? But for the sake of time, I'm gonna try to make my way through the story of Esther and the book of Esther, to give an understanding of the account, without necessarily going through the entire thing. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead. So you'll have to forgive me. I'll kind of try to make my way through and get the important points that we need to hit. So we're in the book of Esther. Let's go ahead and just start at chapter 1. Yeah, that's where we need to start there. First, chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of
Ahasuerus.
Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 and 20 province.
107 and 20 province. He was from India to Ethiopia. Like he was a powerful king over many. And you know who this is speaking of? Some of us may be familiar with the movie 300, Xerxes. Remember that guy Xerxes with the ring in that big mighty Persian Indian king? That's who this is. That's who they were depicting in that movie. Is that guy Xerxes? So again, this is an actual king who existed in an empire and a kingdom, right? Go ahead.
Verse 2.
A great one. He was in terms of not necessarily in righteousness a great king, but he was powerful. He had a lot of land, and he was a powerful king. Go ahead.
Verse 2, that in those days when the King Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace. Verse 3, in the 3rd year of the reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
Right, so he's going to go into him showing the greatness of his kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 5, and when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in the Shushan, the palace, both unto the great and small 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple, to serve silver rings and pillars and marble. The beds were of gold and of silver, upon the pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold.
Right, so they drinking out of gold. Going on, the royal wine is in abundance. They got cords of fine linens and purple and silver and beds of, so it's just going into his power and wealth. Go ahead.
Verse 7, and they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse from one another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. Verse 10, on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman and Bisthar and Harbona, Bigtha and Abagtha and Sithar and Carcass, and 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king, which the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty.
All right, so verse 9, also Vashti the queen made a feast for the women. This is just going into what's going on. They having a party, every man do what pleased him. They got the finest of this and that. And also even the queen, he gave his queen the power to, she had a party for the women. And so then we get to verse 11. And so he sent, in verse 10 it says, he sent his 7 chamberlains that served the king, verse 11, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, with his crown, to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look on. So he said, he sent for his chamberlains to go and get to bring his queen for all her majesty before the people. Go ahead.
Verse 12, but the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men which knew the time, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshina, Shethar, and
Go ahead. You can go ahead and go down to verse 15.
verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti?
He called the people before him to say, okay, he's celebrating. It said he was feeling good and happy with wine, and then he calls for his beautiful bride, in the festivities, and she refuses him. She doesn't want to come out. He's angry, and he pulls people before him to say, okay, this is what's going on. What should we do? He's upset. Go ahead, 15.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king. Asherus by the chamberlains. Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti, the queen, have not done wrong to the king only, but also to the princes, and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king of Asherus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women.
Right, so he's saying this wasn't just done to you, this was done to everybody. Like, she's offended everybody. Those who were, maybe taking part in the festivities and wanted to see her, but more so, he's saying, verse 17, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women. So that, go ahead and read that.
Verse 17, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported. The king Asherus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Verse 18, likewise shall the ladies of the Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
Right, so they're saying, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women. And now us, the princes that are under you, king, like if she's not held to a standard, this is going to trickle into everyone's wives to feel like, that they're, and it's going to cause much contempt and wrath. And set a bad example and cause friction in other families and homes, right? Between that relationship between man and wife. Go ahead.
Verse 19, if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of Persia and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Asherus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So they saying, okay, yeah, let's find someone else to make the prince as or the queen as a punishment. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husband honor both to great and small. And the same pleased the king and the princess, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear a rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
So he owned all these, he was ruler of all these different territories and land that spanned with different cultures and languages and different people, nations of people. He said, I want it published in every language, to every person, that this to go out to understand, what has happened and, what is expected. So we're in chapter 2, verse 1 now.
Chapter 2, verse 1, book of Esther. After these things, when the wrath of King Asherus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given to them.
Okay, so it's he's gathering all those who are looking to replace the queen now. You know, the women who want to come and present themselves for the king to take as his queen. And so he's saying, you know, we'll bring them unto the chamberlain, the keeper of the women, and let them, you know, be cared for and pampered and taken care of. That's what it's talking about. Let their things for purification be given, you know, that's taken care of, and oils, and, you know, these different things. So that's what's going on. Verse 4.
Verse 4, and let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so.
Okay.
Verse 5, now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jer, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jochanai, king of Judah, from Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
Okay, so, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, which is Mordecai's uncle's daughter. For she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So Mordecai is basically become like a father figure to Esther and cares for her, you know, as a father. And she's a beautiful woman. All right, go ahead, verse 8.
Verse 8, so it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Hegi, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegi, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and she speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
So you see that? And the maiden pleased him. Like as she immediately is walking into the kingdom and into the chambers, you know, where all these women are coming, she immediately is finding favor. You know, the Most High is with her. The keeper is already, she finds favor. He gives her maids to take care of her, 7 maids, gives her the best place to stay. I mean, this is just right off the rip, right coming in. She's being taken care of and given favor. So this is Esther we're speaking of. Go ahead.
Verse 10.
And they are, you know, Jews. This is Israel. So this is Esther. Go ahead.
Esther chapter 2, verse 10. Esther had not showed her people, not her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. They are of the stock of Israel. These are Israelites. Benjamin, remember? But of course, like I said, we're talking about the Medes and a Persian god. This isn't a Jew or an Israelite kingdom, you know, and it spans again over many lands. So, you know, she was told by Mordecai, her father figure, not to be forthright with who you are and your bloodline or your lineage. You don't have to go in there saying, you know, and let it be known that you're you know, Jewish descent or Israel Hebrew descent. Go ahead.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now when every maid turned was come to go into King Ashur's after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with all mirth, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purification of the women. Verse 13, then thus came every maiden unto the king, whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
So after this 12 months time of purification, of being pampered and taken care of, now every maiden came unto the king, and they were given whatever they were desired, you know. So this is a place to be, a desirable place to be the, you know, obviously to be the queen, you know, to the king, to this mighty king, and the treatment, you know, that comes along with it. Go ahead.
Verse 14, in the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Ashkenaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. Verse 15, now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihali, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing, but was Hagar, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed,
right? So, you know, they could ask anything they want. And, you know, here's this beautiful maid who could, you know, and isn't being, you know, needy and give me this and I want that and send them over here and I need you, and, you know, trying to be over people and, you know, put herself in a position and be, you know, needy or greedy. And, you know, she didn't want, she's like, you know, I'm fine, I don't need anything, you know, just the person, you know, the keeper of the woman who was assigned to her. Go ahead.
And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all of them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus into his house, royal in the 10th month.
You see those values and you know, that come along with being you know, with the word of the Most High and being the Most High's people and the things that he teaches us. You know, these are the values and ethics that come along with the Most High's, the humility and not being wanting of much and all these things. And so here this Israelite maid, this beautiful young maid who's finding favor and is fine and beautiful, and still at the same time, you know, a lot of times you find a beautiful person and, you know, they feel like their beauty means they deserve extra or more, or can treat somebody a certain kind of way. Where here she is, and was probably one of the most humble amongst all the women, and she's maybe one of the most fair there. So you see, she's gaining favor with her way she moves. And but you see though, that's in direct conjunction with obedience to the Father. You see that? That's the Most High is with her. That's how she's able to be being used right here. I just want to point out, that's an example for us. You know, it's not a light thing that the Most High chose us and gave us his understanding and word. Like, following this word and obedience to these things, man, it's our power. You know what I mean? It's that simple. It's our strength. It is what protects us. It what takes care of us. As we read this story, we're going to see this is what saves the whole nation. This obedience, you know, and it's the same thing that applies to us today. Same thing, you know what I mean? We're in a spot. A lot of us don't see it. Us, of course, but a lot of our people don't understand we're in a condition that we need help out of. I mean, you know, and to an extent, it's hard to say that because we do see it. I mean, it's hard not to, you know, the whole police brutality and all these things. But what I'm referring to more so is the spiritual situation and the magnitude of what really, how the salvation that we need as a people. That salvation is only going to come through our obedience. This sister's walking in humility, obedience to her Mordecai, Like, this is what you do. She didn't go in there rogue, like, oh, I'm in here now. I'm this beautiful. Look at everybody taking care of me. Oh, no, I need this. I need that. No, she was obedient to Mordecai, too. He's coming and checking on her. She's, that's her head. She's reporting to him. She's talking to him. She's a humble sister in obedience. Go ahead.
Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto Ahasuerus, into the house of Royal, in the 10th month, which is the month Tebet, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins.
Above all of them. Go ahead.
So that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Just like that. Made her queen. Set the crown on her head. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai has charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Right. You see that? She did the commandment of Mordecai. She was obedient. We know a lot of times we get to, smell ourselves, and, she was free. Like, she the queen now. Like, she got a lot of power. She could go off and do whatever she wants. She can start making her own calls, and this is what I want and do. She's still that humble, beautiful spirit, not only on the outward, but in obedience and beauty on the inside and spiritually, humble and obedient, right? Go ahead. Verse 21, yep.
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, big than the Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wrought and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus.
Okay, so these two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, who kept watch of the door, they were wroth and upset, and they sought to lay hand on the king. Right, so they cooking up a plot and a scheme to do evil to the king. 22.
Verse 22. And the king was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther. The queen Esther certified the kings thereof in Mordecai's name.
So she went back and let the king know, hey, I was told of a situation that's been a secret plot to harm you, and it was told me by Mordecai. That's what this is saying. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
When the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. So they inquired, and it came to be true. They checked it out, and it was verified. So they were hung. And so, of course, that's a great thing. Now the king is like, wow, there's this guy, and his queen, who essentially may have saved his life, or at least saved him from some harm. Here we go in chapter 3. I know I'm supposed to kind of try to piece through some of this, but it's a good story. So we're just gonna keep reading. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3, book of Esther. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Haman, the Agagite,
yeah.
and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
So here's Haman, someone who's been promoted through the ranks and given great position and power. Mordecai couldn't find it within himself to bow to this man. Again, we understand, we're not supposed to bow to any man over the Most High as Israelites, and our understanding that the Most High gave us as a people. So this is what Mordecai is doing in righteousness. Go ahead.
Verse 3, then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew.
Right. So he's like, this is who I am. This is what I represent. That's not really what I don't do that. Go ahead.
And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
So he wanted to lay hands on him, for he had showed him the people of Mordecai. And so he sought to destroy all of the Jews. So this probably I would see coming with some explanation as to what he stands for and who he is as a people and what he represents with the entire nation. So he's like, let's just get rid of all of them. Right? So now he's wroth or angry and has issue with the Jews, with Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 7. The first month, that is the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of the king Ahasuerus, they cast pur.
They cast pur.
Pur.
Okay? And so when we Purim, which is, how the name of the holy day came, casting pur, and they cast pur, that is, the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month. And this is basically a game of chance, almost to say gambling, or maybe something that you can refer to as an example, like dice, throwing pur. It's like a game of chance. And so that's what they were doing, casting pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month to the 12th month, that is the month of Adar. So they're looking to make this acquisition, or to move forward with their plans, but they're casting pur like to seek the right signal or sign to continue or make different moves, is what this is. Go ahead, verse 8.
Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Mm-hmm. Neither keep they the king's law, therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Yeah. So you see that? And their laws are diverse. They own something else. Everybody else is cool. These guys they stand on something. And it's not what we looking, what we expect, and they don't want to bow to me. So it's going to be in your best interest we need to get rid of them. So he's coming to the king, looking to get the king on his side to go against the Jews. Go ahead.
Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasury. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agite, the Jew, Agite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also to do with them as it seems good to thee.
Right. So he's giving him his blessing to go forth and do so. So Haman said, I'll find the people to go ahead and take these people down, take them out, and I'll pay them so and so, and this is how we'll handle it. I'll take care of it.
Like
and
bounty hunters.
Yeah, like bounty hunters. I'm gonna pay them. They can go handle the dirty work. And the king said, okay, here's the ring, to seal it. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Then were the king's subscribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenant, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of the king Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces, to destroy, to kill, and cause to perish all Jews, both young, old, little children, women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and no take the spoil of them for a prey.
Right. So can you imagine that? You an Israelite, a Jew, a Hebrew, and these letters are going out and it's being read off. These people are fair, open game. This is what's about to be happening to them, because that's the way it went. There wasn't just a troop of armies that just came. It was sent out that these people are open and there are no consequences to slaughter the children, the women. So they were just left barren and open for this to be destroyed. All right, verse 14.
Verse 14, the copy of the written writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. Chapter 4. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes, put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
So this is a sign of mourning and wailing, and and the anguish that Mordecai is seeing what's about to happen to his people, being taken out and destroyed. He rent his clothes and put on sackcloth and cried aloud with a bitter cry. Verse 2.
Verse 2, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews,
right,
and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Just to inquire what's going on, right? So she sent a messenger to talk to Mordecai to figure out what's going on, and so she could have a means of communication with her, father figure. Go ahead.
So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasury for the Jews to destroy them. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him and make requests before him for her people.
So he brought proof to show her what's going on, and he's looking for a way that the Jews have an end. They have, the queen is a Jew. So, and of course, Mordecai is directly related and dealing with her. So he's looking for a way to find salvation for the Jews through Esther. Go ahead.
And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Hatak and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
So there's a law. You don't just decide you want to go talk to the king and just show up and come walk into his throne or to his room and say, hey, I need to talk to you. If you're not, this is what this is saying, if you're not summoned and the king invites you or allows or accepts or says it's okay for you to come, you run the risk of being killed on the spot. If the king doesn't raise his scepter to you and say, okay, that's a symbol of everything's fine, I accept you coming to me. If that doesn't happen, you run the risk of you losing your life on the spot. Verse, where are we at? 12.
Verse 12.
12, okay.
Verse 12. And
So she's saying, I haven't been called. I haven't been called in 30 days. It's like, yo, you want me to go talk to the king? Like, what could happen? I could die. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
So he's saying, don't think just of yourself. Don't think that think of just saving yourself and just prepare to watch your entire nation and all the Jews be destroyed. Go ahead.
For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, and who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
So he's saying, but thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. Like, this could still mean your destruction, whether you go now or not. You are a Jew. They about to kill the whole nation. And he said, who knoweth whether this is the reason that you have come to be a part of this kingdom? Like, this might be the reason the Most High has placed you here, so that you can bring this salvation to our people.
God.
Verse 15.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
They pleading and ready to seek their power.
And
she's like, hey, let's fast. I need y'all to go fast for me. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna fast, have the entire nation. We fast in 3 days, and we're gonna, go before the Most High with this. Go ahead.
And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
It's not I could die. If I die, I die. Go ahead.
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Chapter 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm seeing we reading this whole thing, right? All right, chapter 5. Go ahead. Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
So she was accepted and welcomed in. He saw his queen and said, oh yeah, that's her. Come on in. That's my, hey. And you're going to see, he loved her. He had great reason to. She was not only a beautiful woman outwardly, but she was a beautiful woman inwardly. He had a prized thing. So he said, oh, that's come on in. Go ahead.
Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom.
Check him out. He's like, come on in. What do you want? Just tell me what you need. I'll give you whatever you need, all the way up to half of everything I got. So not only was he allowed in, she allowed in, You know, it wasn't like I'm kind of busy. Go ahead and what you need real quick. So it's like he's dropping everything for this woman who the Most High is with. And saying, I give you anything up to half of this kingdom. What can I do? What can I give you? If that ain't the Most High, go ahead.
Verse 4. And Esther answered, if it seems...
This is that same woman where he's seen. She could have asked and picked and chose. And I can only imagine the way she's moved amongst him all this time, with that example we've seen where, she didn't want anything extra, She showed up and she was one of the fairest of them all, but decided to go without. I'm fine. So here he is now, like, he's knowing her as a person and her character and who she is, especially because of, largely because of who she is in the Most High. And so he's like, if she's coming to me for something, it's something. I'm ready to give her whatever she asking me for. Go ahead.
Verse 4, and Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that they may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared.
So she said, I want Haman at the feast or the banquet, and he said, go tell him to hurry up. She want him there. Tell him to get there. It's, you know what I mean? That's you seeing that? That's how much. That's how she was. The power that she had, and the person that she was, and how the king looked at her. So go ahead.
Verse 6. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed.
That's the second time he done said this. This is at the banquet. Like, this is a separate conversation. They at the banquet. I'm sure there's people around, and he's petitioning her like, okay, what do you want? Like, what else can I do? Go ahead.
Verse 7. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king of Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king hath said. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
So he's excited. He's like, man, I'm being beckoned into the banquet. He's excited. He gets there and he sees Mordecai again. And again, he's reminded, like, man, here this dude is. Boy, I want to grab him up and put my hands on him right now. I'm about to kill all of y'all. Here's a good example of somebody moving in righteousness and somebody not. You got Esther, who's so humble and and obedient and all these things. And then you got this brother Haman, who as soon as he get a position, he ready to fly off the handle because one man ain't bowing to him. He done got him a spot now. He done been promoted, and he ready to, to the point of trying to kill and take people out because somebody, because this man don't bow to him. The ways of the Most High. That's where it's at. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king.
See that? There he is. He coming back, in all his glory. Man, I got this, and the king done did that. You should see my office. Oh, man, and I've been in this position. I'm over. You remember so-and-so? I'm over him. I'm above that. So he just going on, and I'm this, and now, you know what I mean?
Puffed up.
Puffed up. Go ahead.
Haman was moreover, ye Esther, the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
So
Yet,
he going on bragging about the banquet. He been invited by the queen too, right? Go ahead.
yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate.
Everything he got, all this stuff, and he got to make sure this man bowed down to him. You can't be cool and with what you got. I mean, you got a lot. It ain't a little bit we saying just be okay with. This guy is in a great, he going on and on about everything, but he feeling away because of this one man. Go ahead.
Then said Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet.
So he's saying, build something to hang him. Take this opportunity at this banquet. Here's your chance. We'll get him, man. And ain't this something, we see this spirit in the earth today. People in a position, whatever they may have, if they don't have the Most High, they can't, they can't sit still and gotta find some kind of way to prod and pick and try to go at somebody. And a lot of times it'll be some righteous, somebody trying to do their thing, stay to themselves, be humble and obedient. Oh, how you doing, brothers? Shalom, shalom. How you doing? Come on in. How you doing? All right. Go ahead and have a seat. I didn't know if y'all were with the building or something at first. Yeah, glad to have y'all. I try to hold on a little bit for you. Yes, yeah. How y'all doing today? Good. Yeah. Here. Here's one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just kind of heard about you all.
Okay.
Yeah, this crowd looks nice.
Yeah. Y'all have to come back with
I
us.
feel a lot of good vibes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know I'm looking. I thought maybe you work. Sometimes
Oh,
the
yeah.
people who work here
Yeah.
come in. So.
But yeah, we're just kind of unprepared dropping in today. But we do plan to come back and see
Have
you
y'all
all.
have any contact information for anybody to be in contact with? Or?
Yeah, she just Facebooked us
Okay.
like maybe an hour or so ago.
Alright.
And that's why we're kind of, yeah.
Okay. Well, as long as we got a way to get, in touch with y'all, I just want to
Okay.
make sure, so
Absolutely.
we'll make sure y'all can stay linked up.
Okay.
Able to get back with
What's
us.
your name?
Shakam. Deacon Shakam. Yes, sir. Yes.
Brother Stan.
Nice to meet you.
Sam.
How you doing, sir?
McGee, Mark McGee.
Mark McGee, how you doing, brother?
How you doing?
No, I got time. We'll get you done. Y'all have time. All right.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Shalom.
Until next time. Bye, shalom, brother. All right. Do you know where we at? Excuse us. We had a couple of guests, so I'm sorry, but we're back. We're gonna jump right in where we left off. Chapter 6.
Chapter
Were we at
6?
6 already?
No,
we was in 5,
we was
right?
at the bottom of 5.
Okay.
We can go to 14.
14. Go ahead, right there.
Then says Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be
Look
made.
at him. He excited and merry. Let's go kill somebody. Look at this spirit. You know what I'm saying? All right, chapter 6.
Chapter 6, the book of Esther. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So here it is. The king can't sleep at night. Here's the Most High. You know, we got Israel pleading to the Father, you know, and fasting and prayer. So now the king's just up, tossing and turning, can't sleep. And somehow it comes to mind that he want to read over records.
Right.
And he runs across Mordecai telling him of these two. Remember we read of earlier.
Right.
Telling him of that whole situation. So that's what happened here. Go ahead. Verse 3.
And the king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him.
It's like, so did we ever do anything for that? You know, he's like, for whatever reason, he done found himself there in that record. And he's like, whatever happened? Did we do something for this guy? And they're like, nah, we never did anything. Go ahead.
And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king, to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?
So the king didn't say who he was honoring, but he said to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Like, what should be done for this? I have someone I delight to honor. What should be done for him? Haman took it upon himself to believe he must be speaking about me.
Right.
Must be me, right? You know, he just promoted me, like everything's going my way. Boy, look at this. And here we go again. So he's asking, so of course, he decides to, you know, we're going to see, he gives him advice on what to do according to as if it was something for himself. Go ahead.
And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought him, which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head.
He want the crown. He wanted, you know, he's like, bring out his clothes, bring out his car, you know, his chariot. Let me get that horse, you know, give me the crown, like, you know what I'm saying?
Let me get them gators.
This dude's something. Go ahead, verse 9.
And let his apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, and they may array the man withal whom the king delighted to honor, and bring him on horse back from the street of the city.
Through the streets, right? Go ahead.
And proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor.
Yeah, so he wanted to roll through through the streets, parade through, and tell everybody how great this guy is. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai, the Jew, that steereth at the king's gate. Let nothing fall of all thou hast spoken.
Let nothing fail. Of everything you just said, go and do that to this, you not knowing the king don't know, but to the same guy you trying to put hands on and take out. Everything you said, go make sure that happened for him. Right? All right, go ahead.
Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on the horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered.
Feeling shamed, because he done had to now take him through the town and say all this stuff. Go ahead.
And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, all his friends, everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise man was Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlain and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
And while they were yet still talking with him, came the king's chamberlain and hasted to bring Haman to the banquet. So now Haman's going to the banquet that Esther prepared for him. Chapter 7.
Chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther, the queen. And the king said again unto Esther, on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
Ooh.
Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, if it please the king, let my life be given at my petition, and my people at my request.
If I have found favor, she's confident in the Most High. And, she knows she's a virtuous woman. You know what I mean? If I have found favor, she's still humbling herself. She's still not trying to wield a scepter of he offering half the kingdom. She ain't jumping up and riffing off, you know what I'm saying? She's like, if it be your will, if I found favor, I plead, this for my people. Beautiful sister. Go ahead.
Verse 4. For we are sold, and my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondswomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so?
So she putting it out there, and he's like, okay, well, who is it? What's going on?
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is with this wicked Haman.
It's this wicked Haman.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Man. So here he is thinking he's in honor. The queen has put together this great banquet. He done went back, told his family, and here he is sitting up in here, and he's being accused, rightfully accused, and before the king, and he's afraid for his life now. Go ahead.
And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up and made request for his life to Esther the queen. And he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, he's not happy. Go ahead.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standing in the house of Haman.
So he said, hey, he just built, I know, I got the scoop. Here's Mordecai, the one who has helped and saved the king. Here's Haman now being accused and everything being revealed. And he's like, yo, he just built this special apparatus just to be merry on how he gonna kill this guy. It's at his house. Go ahead.
Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Man, ain't that something? So Mordecai tried to prepare these great things for himself. Parade me through amongst all the people, proclaiming how great I am. Give me the king's crown on my head. Let me have his clothes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's heavy. Let me get it the best, his horse, his chariot, his whip, his car, essentially. And just let me ride through in all my majesty. And then he had to, in turn, be over giving that to Mordecai. And then what he had prepared himself to destroy Mordecai was his own demise, and hung him. He was taking out himself on it.
He dug his own grave.
Dug his own grave. Let's go ahead forth and read. But we see. This is our nation, because we know, again, here we are at a level of servitude, not in a kingdom of our own, at the hest and beckon of whoever will come or may and say and have a whatever type of feeling. We're amongst the low, to where, I mean, you understand, it was able to just be written a decree that we'll just kill these people. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't in no place of power. And so, that's something for us to make sure we recognize and understand that wherever we are and where we go throughout history and throughout time as a people, the Most High is who keeps us. Here's a story where our obedience and our reverence to the word and to what the Most High said, it saves us as a people. Go ahead, bro. We'll read some of 8 here.
Book of Esther, chapter 8. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy, unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman.
Read that again. Where you at?
Verse 1.
Okay, read that. Sorry.
Chapter 8, verse 1. The book of Esther. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman the Jews enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
Right, so he done put Mordecai over his house. Go ahead, keep reading.
And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
Go ahead at verse 7.
Verse 7, book of Esther, chapter 8. Then the king Ahasuerus unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
Gave the house of Haman to the sister, to the queen. Go ahead.
Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring.
Write as you will for the Jews.
For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called that at that time in the 3rd month, that is, the month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants and the deputies and the rulers of provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, and 127 provinces, and unto province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to Jews according to their writing according to their language. Verse 10.
You know, let me see, this might be an opportunity where we can move. Let's go to chapter 9. So this is what the celebration of Purim is. And as we continue reading, it kind of details some of the great things that the king does for the queen and for essentially the whole entire nation. Mordecai becomes almost essentially like second in command to the king. It's very much reminiscent of Joseph in Egypt. You know, where they become, you know, this raises this nation, our people, to another level in this grand kingdom. Man, that's a big thing. You know, when you think about actually being a part of that and present for that actual piece of history, and have an opportunity to look around and see all of your people just being lifted from a state of lowliness to the right hand man calling shots. Like he was telling Esther, write what you will for the Jews to take place, and that's what it's gonna be. This guy who was trying to take you out, you are over his family. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is heavy. Like, so this was big. It's a big thing. And so this is where this is what Purim and the Feast of Lots is. This is the reason that we're celebrating. As we go through and read, it says to remember and celebrate this throughout all generations. Go to chapter 9 and start at verse 1.
Book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is, the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout the province of the king Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the province and the lieutenants and the deputies and officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
Yeah, and see, when you look at this, once the decree went out to destroy them, it was written. I mean, you can't reverse a decree that goes out. So, but Esther did persuade the king to make another decree authorizing the Jews to resist and slay all who would attack them. That's what was written when you go back to Esther 8, chapter 8, verse 8, where he was like, go in and write as you will, because something was written as a decree. The king can't just say, okay, take that back. It wasn't a part of the laws and the ways that they operated. So that's what that was, where it's talking about they feared Mordecai because they were given the power to protect themselves. Like, nah, okay, that is a decree that's written, but guess what? Now it's written that try it if you want. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to sit back and be slayed. And they were empowered and able to protect themselves. So that's why when people were in fear, like, oh, we're not messing with the Jews. You're going to get it, you know? So that's what that's talking about. Go ahead.
Verse 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout the provinces. For the man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
Right. You see that? That's what that is. So go ahead to verse 19. We're going to get to it so we can get ready, and, we got the gist of the story here. It kind of goes into detail. I suggest, again, going back reading it, you know what I mean? We didn't miss a lot, but those, that bit that we're going over. So go ahead, verse 19.
Esther, the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 19. Therefore the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar, a day of gladness and feasting, and good day of sending portions one to another.
Right. Therefore, the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day and of sending of portions one to another. That way, we understand, and it brings a whole nother element of understanding and joy and happiness and, to being able to keep these days. This is us. This is our culture. This is our history. This is, and this is another great example of the Most High keeping us and taking care of us. So this is something we're supposed to keep for gladness and feasting, especially when you compare it to the craziness, that we're supposed to be dealing with, and Santa Claus and reindeers and all kind of madness and silliness. To have something, that's really ours and true to hold on to. That's what this is, you know what I mean? So that's why that's the reason for this. That's a reason to be glad and happy as we reflect and, enjoy today. Go ahead.
Verse 20, chapter 9, book of Esther. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Jews that were in all the province of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month, Adar, and the 15th day of the same yearly.
It's yearly. So this is 2 days, the 14th and the 15th. It's officially, we're going to keep it today, so it's the weekend, people work, so we're, and we want to be able to come together and enjoy it with each other. But technically, it's on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. 23rd and 24th of this week. So, that just gives us a couple more days to go ahead and enjoy. You know what I mean?
Tuesday sundown or Monday sundown?
Tuesday sundown. Tuesday sundown. So, even though, we kind of taking these things in together, we can still continue to recognize these days and keep them in remembrance as we go into the week. Go ahead.
Verse 22, and the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy.
Can you imagine that? Like, really resting from your enemies? You know what I mean? Like, that's what they experiencing. They was able to be okay. Not harassed and not worried about, losing their homes. I mean, all these things. They were brought up to a higher level of the state. They weren't being persecuted, or they just went from worrying and crying in the streets because they was like, man, they just saying it's okay to kill us down the street. Does that sound familiar? They saying it's okay. We don't have no protection. So here it is. It's like they resting. I can't wait for that. You know what I'm saying? To really be able to truly feel like you can rest and have like real peace. That's why we recognizing this. That's why the Most High is telling us to remember this and keep us in the mindset of remembering where that peace came from. That was the Most High that didn't let the king sleep. I mean, everything. Mm-hmm. Esther, that whole situation, seeking the Most High and fasting and looking to Him in our obedience. That's our power. That's everything. That's the only way that we're gonna, at some point in time, return to a level of rest and peace again. At all, ever. As the days were in, the Jews rested from their enemies. Go ahead. And it turned from sorrow to joy, from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor. You know what I'm saying? All right, go ahead.
Verse 23. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of the Hammedatha and Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast Purim, that it is the lot to consume them.
Right.
And to destroy them.
You see that? So that's where the pur comes from. They had cast pur. That is the lot, a chance, a game of, that our fate lied in the hands of casting some dice or something. You know what I mean? That's hence the feast of lots, Purim.
Verse 25.
I think we can go ahead and stop there.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead and read 25. Go ahead and read a couple more.
But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them.
All right. Wherefore they call these days Purim, after the name of Pur. All right. I figured that's a good place to stop. There's a little bit more. We pretty much read almost everything, really. And like I kind of mentioned while I have this book open here, we're going to close, but it goes in some too. Just because I mentioned it earlier, the archaeological finds and things. It goes into some of it and who found it and what years. The Shushan Palace itself, and it even says that even found one of the dice or Pur. It was found. There at this excavation site. So this is true. This is a true story, and this is our history. This is our history book. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's what this is. So, and that's a wonderful piece of it, and a reason for celebrating. So that's what we're gonna do. Without further ado, we're gonna go ahead, and we have gifts. As it said, bringing portions one to another and so forth. So we have gifts, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready and partake in our gift exchange, and have a joyous, good, happy time. All right. So I hope that brought some clarity and understanding to those tuned in, and for us here. And so through the Spirit of the Most High. So with that, we'll just say shalom.